Welcome to the Tradie Wife Life podcast, brought to you by Tradies in Business, where we talk to tradie wives about their goals, their challenges, their hopes and dreams, and how their trade business can help with that. I am sitting in my office where it's cool and it's comfortable, and I've got a really nice comfy chair, and my support dog is lying behind me. I can hear my washing machine in the background going off and doing its thing, and the birds chirping. It's a very happy day here. I'm feeling calm and in control, and I am joined today by a wonderful long-term client who has become a very good friend, who is almost the polar opposite to that today, because this is the realness of tradie wife life. Renata, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I am very well. I am not in the Zen setting that you have experienced. I am coming to you live or pre-recorded from my car outside one of our job sites. And it's been a full-on morning of site inductions, site set-outs, and I was actually just zooming back from a cafe to bring some coffees to our team that, you know, just add a little bit of sparkle to their day.
Love it. I don't think I could find anything more apt, actually, to describe tradie wife life, real tradie wife life. When we make that commitment, I suppose, to really jump on board and get involved, it does look like having the opportunity to go to site. We shared over the weekend, actually, in our messenger group, a whole bunch of us were working in one form or another on the tools over the weekend. We had Kylie was out on some equipment, or that might have been an old video, but she was out on, you help me, Renata, you're more in touch with the equipment, like was it Bobcat or something? Was it?
An excavator or something.
Something along those lines.
Okay, some plant equipment.
There we go. Our capacity matches there. Some of the other girls were out, they were gardening. I myself was working on a kitchen reno. There are a bunch of us doing all sorts of on the tool stuff because we actually really enjoy the satisfaction from that as well. And that might not be why we originally jump in, although quite honestly, for me, it was the first thing I did to help out in my trade business was to go and play apprentice carpenter for a whole bunch of time. But it's part of the journey, you know, part of being involved in a trade business when you fully commit means that you get to go to site, you get to experience the transformation of a job, you get to experience the personal growth within your team and your partner. It can be a whole bunch of fun. So I think it's perfectly apt that you were joining me from the car this morning.
Thank you. And just to, I mean, I know we're jumping straight in,
Why not?
but it is the equivalent to if you are a tradie wife and you're working within the business. So for those in podcast world, you can't see that Nic, when she said helping, she did it in, you know, with her fingers in quotation marks, because that's what we see ourselves as right from the start, just helping. So when we change our terminology and the tradie wife who's working within the business, it's the equivalent to your CEO overseeing products or stepping into that meeting room just to say, oh, how's the progress going? So, you know, girls, get your white card and get your steel caps and get to those sites, because your presence can make all the difference. But, you know, there's lots to talk about and impact with this, that one sentence. But yeah, I'll hand it back over to you, Nic.
Oh, I love this, Renata. Okay, you better tell us all who you are and how you came to be working with Tradies in Business, because you have a unique story. Some of us, we have a pretty typical pathway for our tradie couples that come and work with us in the Tradiepreneur program. And what we're talking about, if you haven't heard us mention it before on the show, we are moving into launch week for our Tradiepreneur program for women only. It's only for the tradie wives or the tradie partners, because there is a section of the community that requires some support in that regard. It's a stripped back version of the program. It's a little different to how we work with tradie couples, but it is there to support you as the tradie wife or the tradie partner. Renata, tell us a little bit about your journey, though.
Right. So, yes, I am Renata. I'm a proud Wiradjuri woman living here on the Central Coast on Darkinjung land. And we have had our landscape construction business for 17 years. We always know how long we've had the business because we actually started dating literally a week after my boyfriend at the time, now husband, got his first contract. You can't even say contract because he definitely wasn't using one way back then when he first started 17 years ago. But obviously you do better, you learn more, you do better. So I, yes, started dating Luke in 2006 and even got on the tools the very first week, picking up a shovel and helping move some soil into a landscape site that he was creating. And throughout that, our time together, I've had my own careers in leadership and management within the travel industry. Loved what I did, but it was never going to be my career because it was in the city. We lived on the Central Coast, total of 4 hours commuting wasn't going to be the life we wanted when we started a family. Obviously, we didn't think about that when we first started dating as 20 and 22-year-olds back in 2006. But as those years went on and Luke was running his business, there were some little things I would step in with, a little bit of advice here and there, help in quotation marks, with maybe doing a little bit of a reconciliation in Xero, or helping him word something to a client. But as his career went on and as my career went on and our lives grew and we got married and we decided to have a baby, I resigned from my travel job and started working for the business. Actually, I'll retract that. I was still helping. That was the terminology I used back then. That is how I saw it. It was unpaid work, definitely. And I was convinced I only needed to do it part-time, which was my first mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was just a learning curve. So I started working full-time for the business just after our firstborn was born, and that was 6 years ago. It was going good. We had a lot of stumbling kind of things, just working out roles and things like that, but we didn't use the term role. Luke was still the landscaper. He was still the horticulturalist. I was just still helping with the business. And then it was 2020, early 2020, so before the big C word dropped on us. And not our favourite swear word on site, the other C word, COVID. I had seen Tradies in Business. I still don't remember how I found the Facebook group or the page, but I found you. And I know how I found you, Nic, on Instagram as the builder's wife, but I'm not sure. Anyway, you had an advertisement for just a free 15-minute phone call. If we're not for you, the business coaches, Tradies in Business, no harm done. And I took that to my husband. I'm like, babe, we need to talk to these guys. I'm going to book us in a 15-minute call. And he was very apprehensive. He was like, oh, I don't know, like, previously, maybe about 10 years before, we'd had someone talk to us about business coaching, never from the angle of having any trade experience or knowledge, but what they were quoting us was like, whoa, no, that is not even in the realm of possibilities. But he did agree to the 15-minute conversation. And I just said, if you're not keen, we don't have to do it. It's fine. What's it going to... That 15-minute phone call went for about 90 minutes, I think. And all of us just fell in love. Fell in tradie love. And when we hung up, Luke was a firm yes. He was like, yep, I can see the benefits, but I can't do it. I have too much to do. I'm not going to be able to be off site. I'm not going to be able to go to the Zooms. I'm not going to be able to part of them. I'm like, I'll do it. So working with Tradies in Business, and this was in March 2020 when we officially signed. And that is when the COVID bomb dropped. And I still remember COVID was obviously an extremely negative thing that occurred throughout the whole world. But for us to have the business coaches in Tradies in Business at that time, wow, did that get us through times of uncertainty. And then, because no one was allowed to travel, it then got us through a very wonderful construction boom in being able to have assistance in how to actually handle all of the work we were getting. So that's a very long-winded introduction on who I am and what we do. But yes, we specialize in landscape design, construction, and maintenance. And if somebody had asked me what I did for work 6 years ago, I would have said, I'm just helping my husband with his landscaping business. If someone asked me today, I say I'm the general manager of a landscape construction business on the Central Coast, and we've been in operation for 17 years. So we have removed terminology because I'm not helping.
Mm-mm.
I am a highly paid employee working very, very hard, even though I did say I was a glorified coffee bitch just before.
But that's the ebbs and flows of business, isn't it? And it's very much like that. I don't want to paint a picture of this being super easy because it's not, right? Even though, you've very concisely just now ran through how you came to be working with us and some of the change that you've created in that short period of time. It's not easy. It's actually quite a lot of work.
Oh, it's so much work. And I think I always say there's a lot of things I'm very, very passionate about. One thing I'm very passionate about is tradie businesses. I'm also very passionate about the women that work in a tradie's business. But I also truly believe that owning and running a tradie's business is much different to running any other business.
Mhm.
It's just more. And I know everyone has stress and worries about any type of business,
Mhm.
but you are dealing with so much and it can feel so overwhelming. And we've said this before. Our tradies get their qualifications in their trade. They don't get a business qualification
No.
in that. So, when Luke started in 2006, he had a great mentor who supported him in going out. But as the business grew, you talk to people, like you talk to his dad, who worked for the business for a little bit, things like that. But you don't really understand business.
Mm.
And so for us, I still remember, and I tell this story. So we've been working with you for 4 years next March,
Mm-hmm.
and we did not have any advertising when we first met you guys. No uniforms, just plain fluoro shirts, no signage, and it wasn't like we didn't need it. We'd had a lot of work. We had great word of mouth, but if we didn't start doing those things, our business could have gone a different way during COVID. And you don't know what's around the corner. We talk about the recession and the big, scary R word, and I'm talking about rain of 2022. My God, if a cloud comes out, I rock back and forth in the corner. That rain did us all dirty last year for all outside tradies. But the point is, you don't know what's around the corner. So by not doing those things because we thought we didn't need them, that could have potentially hindered our growth. But we have 2 vehicles, and I swear people say, "Man, you got fleets going everywhere on the coast." I'm like, yeah, we do. It's just 2 vehicles, but because they're wrapped,
Yeah.
and they've got our business, people think there's more. Well, that's professional. They must be very busy. I must need to get in contact with them. So they're all those really little. They don't feel little. They feel expensive when you first start doing this stuff.
Yes.
But once it's done, it's done. And then once you start tracking, how did people find you? Oh, they found you from their site signage or their ute signage. Well, okay, that was a really good investment. So even making those little changes, I just want to go back to pinpoint, Luke was not involved. So I really grew in myself. I still ran things by him, but he was so on board. He just didn't have the capacity to join in on the tradies in business side of things. He does now, 3 years later, but we know more, we've learnt more, we're in a higher, membership program, which gives us more one-on-one contact with you. And dare I say, it's okay that he's still not as involved because I'm the one guiding and running this landscaping ship. And I think as long as you have your tradie partner that's on board, you can do this.
Absolutely.
You can do all of this.
Renata,
I don't think I answered your question.
No, that's perfect. Can you remember some of the early changes that you made and then what that meant for you guys as business?
Oh, yes, I so can. And even changes we're making still to this day that have such a big impact. One of the first major changes came from a friend of ours, Miss Amy Jones, and she shared the story about how she took the work phone away from her husband, and it was the best change to his life. Now, for us, Luke's advertised number was the same as his personal number. So his phone was ringing all the time. I know he couldn't answer his phone all the time. I know he wasn't getting back to clients all the time. So I suggested that we take that phone away from him and that becomes the sole work phone. No, absolutely not. No, can't happen. Can't happen. I need to answer. I need to talk to the clients. I need to talk to the suppliers and my friends. I'm like, you don't have any friends. You're too busy working. He does have friends. But it was inconceivable to him that could have happened. And I just went, okay, no problems. Behind the scenes, I still worked out what that would look like and how to set that up with some guidance from Amy. And it was 6 months after we had that conversation, he came into me and he was just defeated after the day. And he just said, talk to me again about the phone and what would that look like and how would that work? And so because I had already done my research, I presented, didn't do a PowerPoint, but verbally presented to him what that would look like and how we would handle any of those changes. And he said, okay, let's do it. I got the SIM cards. I got a secondhand phone. He got a brand new phone. So as his personal, and then his phone became the work phone. I got him a new number, him a new SIM card, and set up a voicemail that specifically said Devo Designs. Now that first day, after like a 6.5-hour day, he called me and said, thank you. I have fallen back in love with landscaping. I have had the best day just doing what I love and not having to worry about picking up that phone. And I'm like, yay, woohoo, go me. That was my first major change, which was instigated through being a part of Tradies in Business, hearing you guys tell your stories and advice, and then seeing that it actually worked for a fellow tradie. Now, what happened when his friends messaged or called? Hey, Jimmy, got a new number. I'll text it through to you. Thanks, mate. Now, I had to do that quite a few times because boys don't update things, but that's no problem. If clients called and asked for Luke, I would ask them to give me their query and I'll get back to them. Or I'd simply say, give me a go. Let me, what's your query? And they'd say, oh no, one client said to me, he said, oh no, I'll call back later. We'll get Luke to call me. And I said, that'll be after hours. Unfortunately, we don't operate or make any admin calls after hours. So why don't you let me know your question and then I'll get the answer for you. And we hung up. And then I called Luke and he's like, no, babe. Don't even give me the question. You've got this. You have not been a landscaper's wife for 14 years and don't know the answer to this question. 100%. And I rang him back and I did know the answer. And I was so rapt because that gave me confidence. Suppliers, they could have his number if he was on site, but it was a permanent, no one gets his personal number. Because at the start, it was hard mentally to change that, fixation of I need the phone, I need the number. But when you think about contacting another business, you don't contact them after hours. You don't send them a message on Sunday. You don't try and contact your head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So people have this expectation that they can have access to a tradesman 24/7. And sometimes you need to. Obviously, we have emergency trades. But then what that tells the tradesperson is I need to be available all those times. And in our trade in landscaping, there is no emergency call-out work for us. So that does not need to occur. Boundaries are then set in place and followed and adhered to. So that was our first major change up until a change we made a few weeks ago, which is I was searching for something, a communication tool with our team to take us away because how we currently were communicating was via Facebook Messenger. And even though our team agreed, I just still felt like this isn't professional. This isn't professional. we use Facebook Messenger for social with our friends. I want the team to have somewhere separate that they know they can switch on and off from, because I'm very aware of people should not be working, even if it's replying to a message, if it's not urgent after hours. Like, we're big on that. So I was looking at Teams, I was looking at all these other things, and they just weren't hitting the mark for me. But I, speaking about being on site and being interrupted, no, it's okay. The hire guy's just turned up. He doesn't need me. He'll go get the guys. I found this app and I have been playing around with it for quite a bit, and it is absolutely 100% spot on, will work perfectly for us. It's called Go Tradie. It is everything I have been wanting to implement for the team, and they are excited.
Right.
And so it's an ongoing journey, because if you don't communicate well with your team, it's loss of productivity. It's them feeling like, well, the boss doesn't care enough to send me the plans on time or have this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's a constant evolution of changes that we're at a stage where maybe I haven't even had you tell me that to do that, but I have Nic and Was on each side of my shoulder. Both are angels. In my ear all the time about how to level up, how to take ownership, how to, make changes. There you go.
I love it. I also love you spoke then about changing the phones over. And I think that, when we talk about the ladies only joining a program that can help the business, it could be a little confrontational for some of the gents, or maybe even some of the ladies thinking, well, I can't really go in and change everything. And that's not what we're asking you to do, right? We're asking you to introduce the opportunity for change, to systemize the systems that are already in place. So every business has systems. You're doing things the same way. Or the tradies doing things the same way every single time. This is about creating a structure around that so that it can start to release some of the pressure for them. Can I ask you, Renata, if you could share a little around, given that Luke has been less involved, particularly in the early days, when you had some of these new ideas that you potentially wanted to share with him as an opportunity for him to make some change or to take on board some structure that you're putting in place, how did those conversations happen? And look, quite frankly, we're really lucky with Luke because he really wanted to be part of it. He just couldn't find the time at the time. But tell us a little bit about any of those times, again, like the phone, where he was a little bit reluctant.
Yeah.
What did that look like for you? Was it just creating the structure so it was there when he was ready to make that shift?
You can't push things. Okay, I will say something, but then say why I disagree with that. You know how there's sometimes this stereotype between a husband and wife, like, oh, I'm going to make it seem like his idea. And then he'll say yes to the Bali holiday and the new washing machine that we're going to get. Like, I call that, like, it's all fun and games, but it's manipulative. Like, so what I learned early on before I even worked for the trade business, with my other roles with working with teams, and learnt more about from working with you, is if you want something to happen, you need to get the person to buy into it.
Yes.
You need to be able to have them see the benefit of that. It can't just be, hey, babe, I'm now doing the reconciling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and yep, this is going to be good. Sit down, explain why taking certain tasks off the tradie will open his day up and free up his space, and be prepared for the no's. It is so hard to relinquish control of something that you have spent so long building and have felt so alone in. Luke will not mind me sharing this. Prior to my full involvement, there were many times he'd have, mini breakdowns in the shower by himself. Like, my God, there's just so much to do and to take care of, and not having anyone to share that with, because you've got to be a strong alpha male, get on with it. You become so self-reliant that when somebody else wants to step in, like a tradie wife or a partner, or sometimes even, we've had older sisters, we've seen those kind of relationships, like, I'll help in and help your business, things like that. You cannot come in to take over. There has to be a very high level of respect. And a very high level of, okay, I can see the benefit in this. How am I going to present that? And I know it sounds a bit wanky, like when I'm using words like presentation, but this is a business.
Yes.
And you have to change your way of thinking for others to change their way of thinking.
Yep.
Create a job description for yourself. What are the roles that you're going to be doing as the tradie wife or tradie partner that's stepping into a business? Even sitting down, like, what are the things that really annoy you, babe, with the business? What do you wish was different? If I could work out a solution to that, would you be opening to listen to that? Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. And trial things. Don't come in hard and fast like, this is what we're doing. Hey, in our weekly management meeting, yep, use big words like that. Or just weekly catch up if you want a soft intro. What about if we implement this for the week? Here's how we do it, X, Y, Z. Let's just trial it and see how it goes. Okay, perfect. What worked? What didn't work? And you have to go to them. So if you've got background in a corporate office like I had for over 10 years, you will become very comfortable with going out to site to him to potentially work on those things. It'll be very hard to get your tradie in office at the very start. He will not see the benefit. He will think, if I'm not out there doing the work on site, it won't get done. But if you go out to him and you can have a quick 15-minute catch up on, okay, do you want to sign off on this design for our working shirts and I'm going to put the order through? Yep, perfect. Does that make sense? So to be able to do this, my advice would be go into it with the utmost respect that your tradie has started this business and it's been him for X, Y, Z. Like anything, it might be a bit hard to relinquish some control. Don't go into it thinking, oh, I'll make it seem like his idea, because he's smart. He knows it's not his idea. But go into it to show them the benefits of making those small changes.
Yeah, definitely works when we're transparent and we're open about why we're trying to implement a change or create a shift for them. It's always for their benefit. It's not to make life harder.
I mean, it works with staff too.
100%.
You know, I can't just tell my staff, this is why you need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to tell them why they need to do it.
That's right.
What are the effects of not doing this?
That's right.
So that also helps too.
Yeah, it really does.
Gee, I'm not sure who I learned that from.
I don't know either. Renata, you mentioned Amy Jones. We've got some kick-ass women in our community. I love each and every one of them. They all bring their own varying levels of business understanding and experience to the table. I'd like to talk about community. What does community mean for you?
Wow. I have so many different communities and so many different supports, but by far the most supportive community I've got is in with my TIB ladies. So I've said this before, when you're working as a trade business owner, you don't necessarily just go knock on your competitor's door and like, oh, mate, how are you going? Do you have a tough slog? No, we're going great. Everything's fantastic within my business. You don't do that.
No.
Because you want to keep that, face. There's actually one tradie business that we get on well with. We get on well with everyone.
Yes, that's right.
There is one Central Coast landscaper that we will call and we just can have those honest conversations with. But you don't really do that. So when you join TIB, you instantly have this community of people that are either going through the same things, and they don't need to be the same trade.
No.
We have the same staffing problems in landscaping that a Sparky would have.
Yep.
The same client relations problems that a builder would have, a arborist would have. And so to be able to have that community of men, but also the women, because we love a good sisterhood.
Okay, team, we had a bit of a glitch with the internet there. It happens from time to time. Renata, you were talking about the sisterhood. Can you go back to
it? And yes, they say don't work with children and animals. Don't work with the internet on a job site.
No.
The sisterhood within the tradie community is strong and fierce.
It is.
And just being able to have that support is massive.
Yeah.
And I have built friendships with women in the TIB community that I talk to and we socialize and see outside of tradies in business. Like we do social things together. And that's been amazing. So you're not just going to be getting business advice, you are going to be getting a whole support network. You know, we talk about in our chat from business topics to, I don't know what to cook for dinner tonight because I'm so tired.
Yep.
How did you go with that TikTok Big Mac
Smash
what's it called,
taco.
wrap, smash taco,
Yep.
to you know, to sex toys. I'm not gonna lie, we go everywhere with our conversations. But the most supportive aspect is if any of us are having a day, we're all there to support each other and pick each other up and let that person know you're not the only one. We are here for you. I have been through this. You will come out stronger. You know, we're not going to sugarcoat things and say business is amazing, fantastic all the time. You know, our clients are, you know, the most amazing clients. We actually do have the most amazing clients, but there are going to be trials and tribulations that will happen. And if you don't have support, you can feel like you are the only tradie out there going through this, like you're the only wife that's going through this. Luke and I work really well together, but we've had to work hard to get to work really well together. We have some boundaries in place in terms of work conversations. We do have to switch off sometimes our wife voice and have a professional voice.
Yes.
But ditto with him. You know, so it is not easy working with your partner, but it is a whole lot of fun. And I would never want to not work with him. And he says the same thing. You can get him on to prove. But the support network from having the community is amazing, and you're so proud. You know, I was just listening to who's my landscaper tradie, like work husband, Dee Rooney, up in Bendigo. He's a landscaper, and I have always felt a close affinity with him because we started kind of around the same time-ish.
That's right.
He's a landscaper, so all landscapers have a special place in my heart. But I was just listening to him on a podcast that's with a landscaping podcast, and I'm like, go Roons! And you're excited for your people in this community, even if you don't see them.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I'm so excited for conference.
I know.
Because while I get to see some of my Central Coast girlies, there's some I've got very strong relationships with, but they live in Albury-Wodonga.
I know. Or so far away.
Wherever Amy Wills lives with her 15 children.
We have a pretty special community, and we do a lot of work actually to make sure that everyone fits. And so that's why we're having a development week for ladies. It gives you a taste of what our community is like. We have a bunch of our tradiepreneur ladies will be joining us in that development week. If you'd like to find out more about Dev Week and what that could look like for you and your business, if at the very least you're going to take a bunch of free learnings away that you can start to work on within your business, you can join us from Tuesday the 31st of October through to Friday the 3rd of November, when we will open the doors to the Tradiepreneur Ladies Only program, your opportunity to start to drive your business in your own unique way, just like our lovely Renata has done. Renata, thank you so much for taking time out of your day for me today. Chaos as
you
might be today.
Yeah, I'm watching the boys as I'm in here just set out for a 65 block sandstone wall, retaining wall that we're doing.
That'll be a lot of work.
They're walking past just like, you know, making faces at me and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you so much, Nic. As I said, love talking about all things trade business related. And if anyone listens to this that is not involved with their partner's business or wants to, just like I said, that free 15-minute call or being involved in the development program for, you know, ladies only that are stepping into their partner's business, absolutely go for it. What do you have to lose?
Not a lot, especially when it's all free for the first
Yes.
Development week is all free.
Free,
so you have,
we love free.
Half-hour session every day, Tuesday through Friday, totally for free. So you can take a bunch of business learnings away and implement them in your business. So obligation free as well as cost free.
Amazing.
Thanks, Nada. Great to spend some time with you.